Shenandoah National Park. Gonna do some hiking today, so here we go. Alright, so I was planning on just driving up in there, but it's been kind of a foggy ride this whole morning, but you know, the sun's starting to come out, so I think it's going to break up. So I was finally starting to see some views from the overlook, so I had to pull over and check one out, but keep moving on here. So it's Saturday morning, it's a little after 8. That's an early start. For me, that's an early start. So we're not going to be doing any camping this week. Dawn is working, unfortunately, although it's a 3-day weekend for me. You know, I'm pumped about that. I don't have to be back at work till Tuesday, but she's working today, so it's just not, we didn't have time to go camping this weekend. It's just not going to happen. So instead, figured we'd come out here and do some hiking. We passed mile marker 1 where the Blue Ridge Parkway ends, Shenandoah National Park starts, so we're getting very close now. So I've entered the park now. We have the America the Beautiful Pass, so it was free for me to get in today. I noticed on the sign that the entrance fee is normally $30 for a vehicle. I think it said 15. No, maybe it was 20 for a bike and I don't know, 15 for a pedestrian. But 30 bucks for the typical car. So right now I'm driving down what's called Skyline Drive. It's probably the most famous feature of the park. It's just a road that drives all the way across the entire park. It's 105 miles. Now where I just entered, that's the southernmost entrance. As I mentioned, the Blue Ridge Parkway runs right into it. It's near Afton, Virginia. The ranger there that I was talking to, National Park personnel are always the best staff. You know, they're great. I've never had a bad experience with any of them, but he actually cautioned me to watch out about 9 miles up the road. There's a lot of vehicular and pedestrian traffic. I asked him what was going on. I guess there's a search in progress, so that sucks, really. Hope everything turns out all right for that. But you know, I'm sort of going with the flow, but I did look at a few hikes that I'm gonna try to check out, and you know, the first one I was looking at is beyond that, so I'm glad to be past that. If it was near where I'd be hiking, I'd just be changing plans. But all right, I'm gonna keep driving here. See, at this time of year, there's a lot of trees, so you can't see deeper into the valley, and as I mentioned, there's some fog that definitely looks like it's beginning to lift. So I think it's gonna clear up and we'll have some nice sunny days. You know, this is the first overlook and I just couldn't resist. You know, I had to stop and check it out, but I kind of have to check myself a little bit because I'll stop and look at everyone. If I don't stop myself, and then I will not do any hiking. But just want to show the map here real quick that they have. I mentioned the southernmost entrance is in Afton. It's actually called Rockfish Gap. That's the entrance, and it's I think up in this area, somewhere between miles 90 and 80 are where I'm planning most of my hiking today. Step back to show you just like the scale of the park. You know, I'm really just touching the southern tip. You know, it's a pretty big park, as I said, 105 miles to drive the whole distance. So, all right, gotta keep moving or else I'll never get anything done today. So when you're traveling through Shenandoah on Skyline Drive, you always want to keep your eyes peeled because this is bar country, and you know you can usually tell when you're coming up on where there is one because you'll see the traffic stop, then everyone's stopped and take a look. But you know there's always got to be one person that's the first to spot it. So you know it could be anywhere. So you always want to keep your eyes peeled, and also looking up in the trees too, because that's more often than not you'll see them up in the trees as you will on the ground. Alright, so I'm finally here, starting my first hike. It's Chimney Rock, that's what I'm going up to see. I had to park in a Rip Rap parking area. So I'm going to come up here and follow the Appalachian Trail actually for a little bit, and then turn left to the Rip Rap Loop, and that should take us up to Chimney Rock. So, you know, I researched a few hikes, you know, just to get an idea of what I'd like to see last night, but I didn't really look into them. I had no idea what to expect. Really, I was just looking at the length because I know, you know, Dawn gets off at 3. I didn't want to commit to a long hike. I'd rather do more shorter hikes. So I just picked a few that were about 3 miles. This one's, I think, 3.4. So, I don't know. No idea what Chimney Rock is going to look like or if it's even a rock. I assume it is, but, you know, we'll find out when we get there. So, all right then. Alright, the white blazes indicate the Appalachian Trail, or the AT, to the 2,100 mile trail stretching from Georgia to Maine. Alright, this is where we leave the AT and get on the Rip Rap Trail. It's like Calvary Rocks is 1 mile up the trail here. I'm not sure if this here is what they call Calvary Rocks or not, but some cool rock and geological formations and nice views off in the distance. This is a nice rock formation. It was hidden by some trees, so I almost walked right past it, but definitely a cool feature here. Right. Awesome. Wow, it just keeps going. Coming up on the back side of it. I don't know if you guys can see it through the trees, but it's pretty impressive. Alright guys, so this is the view from up here from what I think are the Chimney Rocks. You know, they don't really have signs out here telling you what's what, you know, which is, I guess, a good thing because it sort of preserves the integrity of the natural beauty and doesn't ruin it with signs. I mean, everywhere there's signs, but, you know, I guess this is it. If not, it's definitely worth seeing for whatever it is. These are great. There's some really, I was trying to show you, there's some pretty steep drop-offs over the edge there. I'm not gonna try to get too close. It's just me here, and you know, I don't need any accidents. You know, on both sides of this there's a pretty steep drop. In there, pretty steep drop. So I'm not gonna mess around with that at all. But you know, wow, it's really is something. Worth the walk for sure. I'm thinking those rocks I saw before that I said maybe are Calvary rocks are probably just some random rocks. If anything, I think these here are much more deserving of a name. So most likely these are what they call Calvary rocks. Alright, back here at the car now, cooling down a little bit. It's a good hike. A little more than 3 miles, took about an hour and a half. It was actually more uphill coming back than it was on the way out. So it's getting pretty hot, and I was all sweat by the time I got back, so I went ahead and changed into the tank. But definitely a good hike, worth the walk out there. Great views. The rocks were sweet, and you know, it wasn't that crowded. So you know, if you're looking for something that's not totally packed and still has some cool stuff to see, Chimney Rock's a good choice. You get here through the Rip Rap parking lot, mile marker 90 or so. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. So it occurs to me I didn't really say anything about Shenandoah National Park other than, you know, it's about 105 miles top to bottom, and there's a road that goes through it called Skyline Drive. But, you know, really in a nutshell, the Shenandoah National Park's, it's all about the mountains. You know, we're in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, part of the Appalachian Mountains. And really that's the central focus of the park, the mountains and the views, you know, from the mountain down to the valley below. You know, plenty to do here in the park, you know, the normal outdoor activities, crap load of hiking, you know, there's campgrounds, several campgrounds, good camping. There's some equestrian trails. You know, I don't know much about that since I don't ride them, but I've seen horses, so I know that they're there. Yeah, so all that kind of stuff. There's a couple of lodges. You know, Dawn and I, we've camped here, and that was cool. And we've stayed in the lodges as well, and that's a different kind of experience, and that was pretty sweet. It's a long park, so there are a few different sections and different visitor centers, and really a lot to take in. You know, I don't think you couldn't do it in a day. I think maybe 3 days, you know, would give you a good taste of it. But in order to do everything, all the trails, and really dive into it, you know, you'd have to spread that out over some time. And also, like I mentioned before, the wildlife's, you know, another aspect that Shenandoah is famous for. especially the bars for sure. But there's a lot of deer. I know one time we came to, I can't remember which visitor center it was, maybe Meadows, but there were hundreds of deer just chilling there, and they didn't care. It was cool. They walk right up to you, and you wouldn't want to mess with them because they're animals, but they weren't shy. So to the point that there's a lot of wildlife here in the park. So yeah, that's just a very brief description of what Shenandoah National Park is all about. Guys, here we are, ready to start the second hike of the day. It's the Blackrock Summit Trail. The yellow trail there is what we're going to stick with. I don't think I'm going to do the Tradefoot Mountain Trail, extend it. Just do the Blackrock Summit. About a mile, should be pretty easy, so let's go. Alright, here we are back on the AT. It's about a half mile to the Blackrock Summit. Just as with Chimney Rock, I really had no idea what to expect. I didn't really read up on anything other than the distance of the hike. So, it could be nothing, could be amazing, but we'll find out. So the Appalachian Trail pretty much runs the entire length of the park. Runs more or less along with Skyline Drive. So most of the hikes, many of the hikes that you do here will involve at some point, being on the AT break off to like a side trail or something like that. Like I always say, you got to give credit where it's due, and they do a really good job of maintaining these trails here at this park, and they're all clearly marked. So according to that sign, we got 0.3 miles till we get to the summit, so just about there, a few more minutes now. And check out these views. So this expanse of rock here I'm standing, I was just reading about something like this actually at the Horseheads Trail. When you look at this and just a mountain like that one, that little patch right in the center in the distance there, it looks just like a bare patch, but it's really a pile of boulders, and it's a large rock breaks down to the smaller rock, and eventually it'll turn to soil and it'll become growth like the rest of the mountain. But at this stage you get this awesome collection of rocks, and it just happens to be positioned in front of this amazing view. So this short hike was definitely worth doing. I mean, why not? It'd take a few minutes and you could see something like this. I'd recommend this to just about anyone here passing by. Continuing on back, I haven't retraced my steps. This is supposed to take me back to where I came, so I think this is like a loop trail. The last one I did was like a down and back. I know there's a term for that, but I don't know what it is. I call it a down and back, but this one is supposed to loop back around, so we'll see where it takes us. Circling around, I noticed that there were people actually climbing up on the rocks, so I actually hadn't crossed my mind to do that, so that's what I'm doing right now, just sort of walking around up on these rocks now, and it's pretty cool. It's fun to climb around them and also just get new and different views as you get higher. So where I shot that last one up there was about as high as I got. You know, I would have liked to have gone higher, even all the way at the top, but you know, there are people up there. And, you know, people come up here to reflect and contemplate, and the last thing they want is someone walking up and getting their business. So I respect that. So I'll just keep on walking, start heading back now. Okay, I'm back. All right, so that was a very easy trail. It was took me just under 30 minutes, just over a mile. But a little easy, definitely worthwhile. So keep it on. So hike number 3 here is the Jones Run Falls Trailhead, and that's what it looks like. So this one is 3 miles. It's down and back. There's a stream crossing, slight elevation gain, but yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that, judging from the name, there's gonna be some falls, waterfalls, but I guess we'll see when we get down there. All right, here we go. So I began hearing water a little while back and finally seeing some. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but down in the distance there's a little stream and some pooling of water. So it tells me we're getting close by, my guess, we're probably a quarter mile max from the falls. So should be there any minute now. We got some water here. I'm curious to see how this is gonna connect or tie into the falls, but you know, it's a sign of getting close. Keep my eyes peeled because You know, this area in particular is more rocky. It just sort of seems like the kind of place where maybe I'd see a bar, but you know, I've been looking this whole time, so far nothing. But check out this rock. It's pretty cool. I don't know what causes those lines in the rock like that, but it's pretty sweet. So here's an interesting thing. There's all this brown stuff. It looks like the kind of shit that falls off of trees, but evidently it's not. It's insects. I guess it's some kind of centipede or something like that. But check it out. Those are bugs. I'm heading back now. I'm thinking this is my last hike for the day. I'm trying to get home before Dawn gets home from work, and there's a few things I want to do before I get there. I wanted to go visit a wayside that's up the street and see what they have, but at this point, I don't know. I gotta try to find what time Dawn's getting home, and since there's probably no cell service, I probably won't know, so I'll probably just play it safe and head on down the road after this. But it's a good hike, about 3.5 miles. It'll take me about an hour and a half, but it's good. The best part's all the way down at the end, really. The rest of it's fairly nondescript, but down by the waterfall, it gets pretty cool with the rocks, and it's almost like a gorge, so it's definitely worth giving a look. I think that's all I'm going to manage today in the park, so I'm going to head up on out of here. One other thing I need to do before I get home, I'm going to this place called the Rockfish Gap Outfitters. I think that's the name. If I'm wrong, I'll find out when I get there. It's a hiking store, I think. Yeah, I've never been there. I don't know. I'll find out what kind of stuff they have there too, but it seems interesting. Have something planned I think Dawn and I are going to do tomorrow, and I need to grab something there for so that we are all set to be able to do that. So, I'm driving over there right now. Alright, so that was a good stop. They had exactly what I needed, so we're all set for tomorrow. So now I think I need to just head over to Walmart, pick up a few things so we're geared up for tonight. After that, I think I'm just going to head back to the condo and see what happens. We'll probably lay low tonight, I'm thinking. Probably just stay in and, I don't know, watch TV or something and chill and relax, and it should be another good day tomorrow. So, out. Later.